Okay, so I am now on step. Oh, what is it? It's step number 4 on page 13-03. It is the fuel tank nut plates. So, fuel tank nut plates. So, that's what I'm working on.
Howdy, everybody. So this is working on the right wing. You can see the left wing kind of in the back there. So I'm working on the right wing spar, and that is section 13. It's kind of written for the left wing, but they say you can do them at the same time or do them, one at a time, and then just do the mirror image of that for the right wing. That's what I did. If I had to do it over again, I think I would work on them both at the same time.
So, as you can see here, they have you countersink the nut plate attach holes. But these top ones, those will get countersunk as well, but they need to hold the skin, so the dimple of a skin. So they are not countersunk the same depth as these. These are just countersunk so the rivet fits flush. These will be countersunk a little bit more so that the skin, once it's dimpled, will fit in there. So that's why they have you do it in that order.
So yeah, the next video you'll see me countersink all of those other 100 or so spots on the spar flange there. But for now, what about a joke? So here we go. Two windmills were sitting on a hill. One asked the other, "Do you have a favorite song?" The other replies, "Well, all my life I've been a heavy metal fan." Heavy metal fan. Oh, that's pretty bad. One more just for fun. I once submitted 10 puns to a joke competition. I really thought with that many one was sure to be a winner. Sadly, no pun intended. No pun intended. Oh, that is so bad. Oh, those are horrible jokes, but they're great. So there you go. So basically, all I'm doing is attaching nut plates. There's, I don't know, 40 of them. There's a bunch of them there that you attach the tank to. And it's pretty easy. You'll see me use a hole punch to kind of line stuff up. And that is it works out really, really well because the screws don't fit in those holes. They're not drilled out enough. And I think that's by design, but if you use a hole punch, you can still line up the nut plate and rivet it in there. So that's halfway decent and kind of fun to do.
So when you read the instructions, it says to center them. Well, this is the screw that's supposed to go in there. But those holes are not drilled out enough to get that screw in there. So that's why I'm using my little punch. It will fit in the hole and then line those things up nice and pretty.
So yeah, I highly recommend finding tools that help you do your job easier. You'll also notice that I have my little deburr tool. When the countersink has a burr or something, when you're countersinking those holes, every once in a while there'll be an extra little shard of aluminum, or there'll be it didn't go down all the way, or whatever you weren't paying attention. Whatever it is, the hole might not be drilled deep enough. The countersink might not be deep enough, and so usually it's not off by more than a couple of thousandths of an inch. And so I just use my deburr, my hole deburr tool, and you just give it a couple of quick turns, one or two or three, depending upon how much you need it to go in, and you can actually set those rivets perfectly level. So it works out pretty good. So I have purposefully set my countersink stop about 1/1000th of an inch shallow, because sometimes it does, it is just about perfect, and other times it needs a little bit more. And when you're doing it by hand with your little deburr tool, you can get it to pretty much be absolutely perfect and completely flush with the skin itself. So that's just something I do. You don't have to do that. I just found that it's pretty easy to make them really good if you do it that way. And then basically you line them all up and you put them all in and remove the clecos and do the same thing on the other side of the nut plate. And there are a bunch of them, so line them up and do them all at the same time. That's my recommendation. It goes a lot faster if you do things in succession. So you organize them all, you put everything in, you make sure it's all right, and then you just go press them all at the same time. And you'll see me do that here in a quick second. You see just working my way down the list, and that saves a lot of time. And then you get a nice little view of putting in the back there.
Okay, so nut plates for the right wing fuel tank have been inserted. So we'll see what's next. Okay, so I am working on the step 5 machine countersink the fuel tank attached screw holes. And then it has this fuel tank attached countersink detail. I'll put that up on the screen here for you. Basically, the inside diameter of the hole is 5.6 millimeters and the outside is 9.4. So 5.6 and 9.4 are the max numbers. And as you can see here, so right there I have countersunk that with my countersink on there with the number 30, because the number 30 nose, the tip of it, fits inside the nut plate. So it fits inside this nut plate, which keeps it centered in the hole when you're doing that. So it's a number 30 countersink, and then you make it go a little bit deeper than you probably normally would so that it fits. And then if you look, here's my calipers. If you put that on there, the outside one is 9.24, and then the inside one is 5.3. So let's measure the inside one there. So that's the size we want. And I will continue to countersink all of those.
So there is a few of those to countersink, and I will reiterate that when you're countersinking that, it feels like you are going way too deep. But I double, triple, quadruple checked those dimensions, and that's right. I mean, and the skin, the dimpled skin for those screws, it works. It fits in there nice and pretty. It's kind of the instructions don't lie, so follow them. Every once in a while you'll be a little bit confused. Usually if you read ahead in the instructions, you get a little bit more insight of what they're trying to do, and it does work out.
So you see me blowing on the end here, and that's because stuff gets kind of stuck in there, and I've had where like stuff has gotten underneath this and it doesn't drill it as deep as I want, and so just to try to avoid that, I blow it out.
So yeah, especially when you're taking that much material out, it does get filled up pretty good. So just make sure. Here, I'll show you real quick. There's just a bunch of shavings that get kind of caught in there, and you have to clean it out every once in a while, just so you have a nice clean countersink when you're doing the next one. That's all you're really doing, is cleaning it up for the next hole. And you just work your way down on both sides. I think my next video will be the rest of countersinking the rest of the holes for the skins. So it won't be for nut plates, it'll be for the skins, and that'll be kind of nice. And then you see me finishing up here with the access panels on the bottom of the spar, and you do this basically the same thing. They're just smaller screws, smaller nut plates, so it's pretty easy. As always, like and subscribe. Leave any comments that you might have, anything that might help me out. Thanks. Talk to you later. See ya. Bye.